or down low. Here he is out high. Holds, waits, fires, and scores! Matvei Michkov has his first goal at the Wells Fargo Center.
This is episode 117 of the Liberty O. Danny Deemer here with Chris Stumpo.
As always, how are you, buddy?
I mean, I'm just doing amazing.
Round of applause. Round of a fucking applause, dude. That's exactly what we've been waiting for. Like the exact move.
For like 10 years. Like, no, I'm serious. I mean, dude, we were the most excited before this that we've been for an acquisition was Ryan Ellis. And
yeah.
we have been down bad.
Which is crazy to think about because Ellis was, and I know Ellis at the time was a lot more established than Zegras was. Top 10 defenseman in the league when healthy. But it's funny because like he was at the tail end of his career and he was kind of like that Niskanen move in a way too. Like, you know how like, we kind of got Niskanen a couple years before, a year before he retired.
Mm-hmm.
But this move is a 24-year-old, and it's not an established player like Ellis was. Like, there's a lot more risk taken into this. And obviously you're not going to get a 1C who's established in a trade. But I mean, this kid's 24 years old. He's removed from 2 60-point seasons as like a 21-year-old, very young. Dealt with some injuries the last 2 years, but we know the skills there, right? And like, this is the exact move that I wanted them to make. Risky. I mean, not even risky because I mean they didn't give up a ton. I mean, Poehling, a second-round pick, one of the second-round picks that they had. They had 4. Now they have 3. And then a fourth in 2026. You didn't give up anything. And the upside is tremendous. I mean, this guy could be the 1C. If everything goes right, the high end, the ceiling is he's your 1C for the next 10 years. The more realistic is everything goes right and he's your solid 2C top 6 guy for the next however many years. But just the aggressiveness, Danny, is what we've been calling for. I'm so glad to see it. And we'll get into it later. I don't think he's done, dude.
How many times have we said, oh, if it makes sense for the timeline, go out and get a timeline fitting center? I feel like we've said that exact phrase like hundreds of times over the last couple of years. And the fact that they actually went out and did it. I remember me and you used to talk before the summer started, and we said, like, man, I just want to wake up one day in the summer and something crazy happens. Well, yeah. I mean, this absolutely fits the bill. I mean, you gave up Ryan Poehling, a second and a fourth for Trevor Zegras' prime, essentially. You're going to get him in his prime. I mean, I know they're probably going to re-up his deal at some point, and you're going to get him for his prime. Like you said, 2 60-plus point seasons. And the last couple of years in Anaheim, dealing with injuries, team has been bad. He doesn't look really happy there. I think a change of scenery might rejuvenate him. Playing alongside Michkov might rejuvenate him. And I'm very excited, man. I've been watching highlights all day.
I think obviously that's the main thing, right? Like getting a guy who can kind of bounce off Michkov with his high-end IQ. I mean, Zegras is another guy who sees the ice unlike any other player in the NHL. I mean, I know he's been inconsistent the last 2 years, but you can't deny the hands and you can't deny the IQ, the playmaking ability. And getting a guy like that who can keep up with Michkov and then maybe give them like a sniper like Forrester on their left wing, I mean, that could be a line that I think starts the season out, man. It's really exciting. I mean, the power play got a new coach there, and the fact that we could see a 5-man unit of Michkov, Zegras, Couturier net front, maybe Forster net front with Konechny in the bumper, then Drysdale at the point. I mean, it's night and day from what we've seen in the last 3-4 years in terms of power play units. I mean, the second line might not be too fun to watch, but I mean, the first unit will be extremely fun.
You look at this guy's highlights and you just think about, man, we're going to have this player in his prime.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Young.
A couple of years ago,
so young.
A couple of years ago, he was taking over the world, the hockey world. I mean, He was like the front of every conversation for, 2021 and so on.
Yeah, he was on the cover of what?
Yeah.
2021 with Sarah Nurse.
Exactly. Actually, I think it was 23.
23?
NHL 23. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. Like you said, I hope they're not done. I mean, anything else is a cherry on top, but it's so nice to see Danny closing.
I know. We'll get Derek in later, but like you said, I think I'm still kind of sitting here in shock.
I just want the season now, man.
I know. But like I said it on Twitter, and I mean, even Charlie O'Connor tweeted out something of similar taste. It got the sense that Danny isn't done. He wants to continue to add. He was asked if this changes anything in terms of acquiring centers or going out and looking for centers, and he said no. Like, this doesn't stop me from looking for a center. This doesn't stop me from being aggressive. And it really just gave off the vibe that this isn't a move where Danny is, okay, I did my one really cool move for this offseason. We don't want to go too crazy. I'm done. Like, this really seems like he wants to do something else here. And I don't know what. I don't know what it's going to be, but this is purely speculation. This is just me talking from my gut. I think he's going to do a couple of other things. Maybe not crazy big,
like
but I think defenseman. They're definitely going to go after a goalie. They're definitely seriously looking for a goalie. I'm pretty sure I just sent something in the group chat. Andy Strickland, who he's a pretty reliable source. Detroit, Philadelphia, Edmonton among teams actively looking for significantly upgrading their goalie position. So, I mean, that's not a shock or anything. Like, we know that they're going to start. I mean, that they've been looking for goalie for the last couple of months. I mean, we know Fedotov's going to start in the AHL next year. So it's going to be an Ursum and then whoever they get tandem. So that's not shocking. But it's nice to hear that they're aggressively looking for, because they get a goalie, maybe a defenseman, and then they make a couple moves up top, man. I don't think it's crazy. Maybe they squeak into a playoff spot. Is that crazy to say?
No, I mean, that would absolutely be the hope going into the season, right? I mean, as a fan, you wouldn't be going into the season rooting for losses anymore. It's kind of, let's see what we could do. Can we be Montreal from last year, where you know that, yeah, they're not going to play deep in the playoffs, but they kind of get a taste of it, and you know that their core is young and they'll be back.
And Washington. I mean, look at Washington last year. They added a ton of guys that a lot of us looked at and were like, that's not really a good player, but they were just good fits for Washington. They needed a change of scenery, and this is the first building block that we're seeing that with change of scenery guys, and this is the first domino, I guess I should say. And I hope they
what
keep
a domino
going.
it is. I mean, we were saying last episode that this is the summer, this is the offseason that they've been building towards for so long. And the clock was sort of ticking. I mean, you had all these assets. It's time to play some of your cards. And, I mean, this is a beautiful first play.
And it's great Danny, they had 7 picks in the first 2 rounds going into this draft on Friday. And they only gave up 1 of those 7 picks.
I get it. Like, he's had a down. I'm sorry to interrupt you. No, I get that he's had a downswing, but doesn't that package just feel like an absolute steal? Like, am I missing something?
No, I mean, no, you're not. I mean, everybody who's looking at this with a non-biased view, like if you're a fan of another team, if you're looking at this trade, I mean, Ryan Poehling is. I mean, they need somebody of that archetype. Anaheim does. I'm sorry, I kind of blanked there. Responsible. Two-way, not really two-way. The responsible defensive centerman who can chip in offensively here and there. I mean, he's a good skater. He's big. Something Rarik kept mentioning over and over again today. So, I mean, in their eyes, it's not bad. But I mean, if you look at it, like I said, from another team, it's Ryan. It's somebody that you can go pick up in free agency in day like 4. You can go sign a Ryan. Like, nothing against Ryan. Great dude. Good player. Like, I did enjoy watching him play. I mean, he is what he was. You know what I mean? And then a late second round pick. It wasn't even one of the earlier ones. And then a 4th in 2026. It's nothing. It's nothing for the upside that you could potentially get with Zegras for a guy like this. This guy could potentially be a top 6 fixture in the offense for the next 8-9 years. I mean, he's only 24 years old, and he has immense skill. We'll see how it plays out. Obviously, there's risk in every kind of trade, but this is exactly, and I'm going to keep saying this over and over again during this pod. This is exactly the type of risk that they needed to go take, type of gamble, quote, I guess you could say, that they needed to go take. They continue doing this with Paterka, even though that's not really a gamble. I mean, we know what that kid is. He's like 23, 24 years old, 30 goal scorer. Byram, if they make a move there, like if they can make another significant move like that, man, it's hard not to get excited, man. It really isn't. And I love this first domino, like we just said. I hope there's more.
I mean, I went into the summer wanting Marco Rossi. If you would have told me Zegras is coming in a couple weeks,
I think I'd prefer Zegras. Would you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's nothing against Rossi. I'm sure he's going to be a great player wherever he goes. But Zegras is all right. He just fills a need that we had that we needed to fill so desperately. Just raw skill.
Exactly. Danny, he's instantly the most skilled player on the team, arguably, next to Michkov. I mean, Konechny is now the third most skilled guy, and that's not a bad thing to say. Like, it's a good thing that Konechny is the third most skilled guy. I mean, you have a pretty skilled team, or at least you're building a pretty skilled team. He is very, very skilled, Danny. It's exciting. Keep adding this raw talent, and eventually it's going to work out. You're going to find that diamond in the rough. If this doesn't work out, it doesn't mean you should stop shooting these kind of shots. You keep going after these kind of trades. Keep trying to find a guy that maybe just needs a change of scenery. You know, he'll wake up in Philadelphia. You never know, man. You never know. And I just love that they're taking this shot. It's draft week, baby. I mean, June 23rd. We know the history of June 23rd with the Flyers, right?
Yeah, I saw that tweet today. That's kind of insane. I guess
I'm trying to bring it up right now.
Every time you wake up on June 23rd, you got to be ready.
Yeah, I gotta go through. It's actually funny too because I was talking in a group chat today, like, hey, that hasn't happened since I was a teenager, 17 years old. BR Open Ice tweeted out, "There's just something about the Flyers in June 23rd. ... 2011, we traded Jeff Carter and Mike Richards. The next year, we traded James Van Riemsdyk. 2014, we traded Scott Hartnell. We all remember that trade, Umberger. 2017, we traded Braden Shen. That was the Frost deal, I believe, the Farabee deal. And then 2025, we traded for Trevor Zegras. So it's a very significant day in Flyers history, Danny.
This is kind of random, but I spoke a couple episodes ago about how it was such a promising sign from the Flyers to cut the cord on Frost and Farabee when they did. Mm-hmm. And now it's like the money that you would have invested in those players, you're giving to Trevor Zegras. I mean, what a 180, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And another thing we were talking about was this is the kind of move that another team in the Metro would have made. And we look and be like, man, why couldn't we match that? Like the package is so you can live with this package to an extent that if it doesn't work out, you just go next. I mean,
and another cool thing about this trade is the second round pick that they gave up, like the most valuable piece you could argue in the trade that they gave up was from the Provorov trade.
We were just talking about how good that trade was, and now it gets even better.
We're literally just talking about the value that they got back and what they could do with that value, and now we're kind of see it being put into action too. And like I just got done saying, Danny, they still have 6 picks. They still have all the high seconds. They still have all their first, which were off the table, which were kind of funny. I was talking in the group chat. You know, like Verbeek was like, how about 32? And then Danny was like, how about Ryan Palin? Did I get it done, boss? But like I said, I mean, if they continue to take these kind of shots this offseason, like Byram would be really cool. But it kind of goes in like a segue into, do you think this disrupts York any? Not disrupts them. Do you think it affects them anyway? Because I saw a couple people, and it's kind of the same question. How does this? Are they doing it to keep York here? Because like, I kind of agree with that. Not agree with that question, but I kind of think it's a good question. But then I think about it a little bit more. It's like York's not really in the position to be like, you need to bring my friends here so I stay. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you're not really in that position to be slamming the table doing that. So like, I'm like, nah, I don't think that. Do I think maybe it gets a deal? Like, I really don't know what's going on with this situation, to be completely honest with you. I feel like we've been kept in the dark with the whole York. It's just like, yeah, they're not close, but that's it. I mean, we know this organization works behind closed doors. Like we hear absolutely nothing out of these guys. So we'll see. But I mean, you can't say it doesn't help. I mean, they're close friends. I know Jamie and Zegras are best friends. So I mean, obviously, I can't sit here and be like, yeah, it's a bad thing. It's going to be a great thing. I mean, these guys are friends. It's really cool to play on a same NHL. I mean, I can only imagine it's really cool to play on the same NHL team as one of your close friends. So if York sticks around, if he's still using the trade, we don't know. But personally, I don't really think it affects York's status as far as, yeah, they're friends and it'll be cool to have them there. But other than that, I don't really think it affects anything.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. You know,
No.
I don't think they made this move like with York in mind at all. But it's certainly a nice coincidence that they happen to be good friends. Maybe it does work out with York here alongside Zegras. York kind of had a rough go of it last season. Maybe he's just, we were talking about like the rejuvenation of Zegras in a new market. Maybe it gets York going a little bit more too. New field, new coach, best friend.
New everything, essentially. I mean, I think we talked about it last podcast. I mean, new coaching staff. I mean, they're starting to bring in new players. I mean, I said it in the group chat today. I really starting to think that, well, we're starting to see it. Danny's starting to look around and be, okay, I'm going to build my team now, right? We're starting to see him put his fingerprints on this team, and I'm liking it. The Lawton trade's looking really good. Grabankin in the first. What are you going to say?
It reminds me of when Keith Jones went on WIP and said that this year they were going to start to take some steps forward, and it just kind of cements that point that he said. It's he foretold of the prophecy, and here it is. It came true. They are actually going to take a step forward. That wasn't just something to renew season tickets. And dude, we're still so early. Like the draft's in,
I know,
like a little under a week now. And
yeah, Friday.
That's going to be a fun day. I mean, who knows what's going to happen on draft day?
And we have tons of draft questions too, and they're kind of the same question. It's Jake Cornelius. If the Flyers stay put, are they on Martone watch? Holy Boys this summer is going to be fun to watch. Brandon Marshall says this probably doesn't change what they're going to do at the draft, but adding Zegras in the middle might change what they do in unrestricted free agency. There's a lot of the same questions of like, does this change their perspective on, do you draft a Hagens who's a smaller skilled guy because you just added Zegras? Personally, I don't think it changes anything. I think if Hagens is sitting there, you go Hagens and you add Hagens to this pool of raw skill that you're slowly starting to build. But what's your take there?
I agree. It wouldn't bother me that much to have the size of Hagens and Zegras as my center core. With that being said, if they come away from the draft with like a Desnoyers or O'Brien, I'm also going to look at that as a win. If that's just like the guys who are on the top of their list and the guys that they wanted, I can live with that. And they do have a little more size, so it kind of does fit the mold a bit more. But it's best player available. When you're picking 6 overall, you're a rebuilding team, you go best player available.
You gather the elite skill first, and then you worry about adding the size later. I've always been a very adamant about that. Get the skill while you can. It's easier to find the size and the grit in free agency in a nice little trade. It's easier to find that than it is to go find an extremely skilled playmaker like a James Hagens. But like you said, Desnoyers, who's a bigger guy too, plays a little bit more of a, not defensive game, but plays a little bit more of like a cerebral game where he just knows where to be at all times. Wouldn't be a bad add either. There's essentially nobody there at 6 that I would be mad at. I wouldn't be overly thrilled with Martin, but I can see why they love him. It isn't hard to see. It wouldn't be hard to see why they would love a guy like Martin, but yeah, like I wouldn't be upset with it, but we'll see how it goes. Like another one, Aaron Fraley, who asks us a lot. Shout out, Aaron. How does this affect the draft? And since he's a restricted free agent after this upcoming season, what are your thoughts on an extension now or wait? That's actually a decent question, because do you wait and he has an 80-point season next to Michkov, then you have to hand him a little bit more money than you were gonna before, or do you get him now and then let him blow up with Michkov?
I would like them to do it this summer, just as a sign of good faith. do it this summer. And it could end up working out long term. Like you said, he could have an insane season next year, run up the value. But usually in these situations, when a team targets a player that they really want, that fills a need, they usually re-up him pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, would you do it longer? What would you do right now?
That's an interesting question.
That's
I don't know.
question.
I don't know if he would want to do it longer.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think you'd have to feel it out first, maybe.
But he's had a couple rough goes of it the last couple of years. I think to an extent he wants to go out there and make some money. I don't think he wants to be locked down. Because if he signs an 8-year right now, what do you think he would get?
It'd be, I don't know, 6 or 7.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, 6 or 7. Because I mean, he makes 5 now, but he's not really due a significant raise due to the past 2 down seasons. But you still have to, I guess, pay for the upside. So I mean, I would hand him if you were like gun to my head, you have to give him an 8-year deal. I would hand him 7. I would do it. Yeah, I would. Is there a risk in that? Absolutely. I mean, we see Montreal. They handed Slafkovsky a huge deal, and I mean, I like Slafkovsky. I think he's going to be a good player. There is absolutely risk in doing that. There is an obvious plan in doing that, and you want to lock a guy up long term to a nicer deal rather than play him later. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely do it. I don't think they're gonna. I think the earliest you see is maybe like midway through next season, if they were to do it during the season. But like
8x7, absolutely, it's a gamble. But imagine if it paid off. Like the cap's going to go up a lot. Imagine he fully breaks out alongside Michkov and becomes like a 90 to 100. I know I'm shooting for stars here, but who knows? He's still young. Like, what does 27-year-old Trevor Zegras in year 3 of playing alongside Matvei Michkov look like? I mean, it could be well beyond $7 million. That's why I don't think he would want to do it. Because I feel like he would want a couple years of breaking out before getting paid. I mean, I think he'd do like a 4 or 5, maybe even a bridge.
Like
I would love to do
type
it.
deal.
Yeah, exactly.
I know people are sitting here listening like, look at them. They're going way too far. We just traded them for him today. They're already talking about an 8-year extension.
Well, it's just because you look around the league and you see some contracts. You're like, how is that guy making that? And it's because somewhere along the way, a GM just took a gamble and it worked. Obviously, it doesn't happen every time, but sometimes you have to try.
Daily Flyers. How many points for Zegras this year, assuming he stays mostly healthy and plays with Michkov regularly? I think he breaks 70 if he stays healthy and plays with Michkov.
That's a safe mark.
Yeah, close to a point per game. Maybe not exactly at it, but if he stays healthy and he actually does play with Mitch, yeah, 70 for sure. Lock that in. I might even bet that.
He looked miserable last year. Absolutely. I watched a lot of.
You keep saying that to me.
He did.
Explain.
Because he's normally a happy guy. Like when you look at his old highlights, when he scores or when he sets up a nice pass to a teammate, he's happy. Like he just looks like a ball of energy. Last year it was bad. I watched a lot of Ducks games because of Cutter Gauthier. Like I was just hate watching, essentially. Yeah. And whenever Zegras would do something, he looked like it was like, all right, just let me get off the ice now. Like he just didn't even look happy to score. I remember one time he walked a goalie for a shootout winner and no reaction at all. And it just didn't seem like him. Like some guys are like that, and that's like expected of them to react that way. Like I remember Giroux used to kind of play. Giroux would score a dirty ass goal and just act like he didn't do anything. But like Zegras is not one of those guys. I mean, he's a flashy player. Like there was a time a couple of years ago where people thought he might have been one of the faces of the league in the future. And it just didn't seem like him clearly. And there's trade rumors for years too. Like it wasn't a secret that I always say it, where there's smoke, there's fire. And this fire's been building for a couple of years now. I wasn't expecting this today.
Dude, I was at Hooters when it happened. I'm not joking, dude. I just ordered my lunch and I looked down at my phone and I thought it was one of those like fake Elliot Friedman accounts, but then it clocked in my mind. I'm like, you just got a Twitter notification from it, like from his like when he tweets, I get a notification and I'm like, well, I don't have any fake accounts. I was like, this is real. I was like, he's heading to Philly. It's crazy, dude. It really like I'm still sitting here kind of shocked still, and it's.
I think the entire time that we've been friends, we haven't had a move like that. We watched every other organization in the city have summers like this. Like the summer they got Bryce Harper, the Phillies was insane. The Eagles make magic happen every single offseason. The Sixers, although they've been disappointing, they've had some notable moves. I mean, Harden, Jimmy Butler, Paul George. I mean, I know that not really working out so well, but I mean, it's just fun names that you wake up and it's interesting to be on Twitter and have discussions in the summer. And it's not just complete trash. It's not just a fourth line center, a seventh defenseman. It's refreshing, man. Like finally the Flyers did something relevant.
And I feel like we don't really see them go after that kind of like archetype either. Like that, like skilled, fast center, smaller guy. Like it's cool.
Absolutely.
See, I mean, we know the Shabanov news, hockey news hub, kind of saying he might be signing July 1st. That's still up in the air. We don't have any official word, but I mean that guy's pretty locked into the Russian scene. So that's another extremely skilled smaller guy too. So like I love the fact that they're just loading the fuck up on skilled guys. Like load up on all of them, see who sticks. Worry about the size and grit later. Beautiful. It's exactly what I've been slamming the table about for the last 2 fucking years, it feels like. And like you said, it finally pays off. What?
Since 2013, I'll use that year. Is this the most excited you have been? It's still early in the summer. Is this the most excited you've been to watch an upcoming Flyers team since 2013?
Without a doubt. I mean, I would have said yes without this move just because it would have been year 2 Michkov. And I mean, I think sometimes even I'm guilty of this. We forget that we have that guy, and he's going to be really, really, really fucking good. And I think next year is going to kind of take off. But the fact that they're kind of adding guys like this now, where I mean, I knew that they were going to do a couple of nice moves, but if you were to ask me if you actually thought Trevor Zegras would be a Flyer, I would have told you no. But the fact that he is, and Derek, he's going to come on in a little bit. He knows the kind of, I mean, we've been friends for forever. You know the kind of player that I like. I mean, there's a reason why I threw all of my eggs into the Morgan Frost basket. Like I thought that dude was going to be that kind of skilled playmaker with eyes in the back of his head that can make crazy passes, crazy hands. I mean, that's exactly the kind of like Nikolai Ehlers, Kyle Connor. Those are the kind of guys that I love watching. And the fact that we're adding a guy in Trevor Zegras, who's one of the most skilled guys in the NHL, it's personally so exciting for me. I can't wait. So, yeah, I think this is by far the most exciting upcoming Flyers. And it's not even, dude, we're day one into draft week.
Stanley Cup was handed out like 5 days ago.
It's awesome, dude. And I know I keep repeating it, and I'm sorry, but like 6 picks in the first 2 rounds, and we just got done hearing Danny
and Trevor Zegras. Holy shit!
And Trevor Zegras. We just got. I was saying this in the group chat. We just got done hearing Danny say 3-4 days ago. When was that the draft press conference he had with Flair? Like last week. Just got done saying, like, we wouldn't mind using all the picks, and then like 4 days later, Trevor Zegras is on my team because they sent away one of those.
And
picks.
They used one. It's insane.
One. So.
Shabanov was going to sign, and they still have 6 picks.
Yep, we'll see. I'm really excited to see where that goes. How far away are we from July 1st? Not far at all. Next week,
8-9 days.
Yeah. And I saw NHL Rumor Report, who every day is just constantly coming out with stuff from Elliot Friedman and other insiders. And this is from Elliot Friedman. He said on his 32 Thoughts podcast, I've heard Philadelphia is thinking about James Higgins at 6. Could you imagine if they walk out with out of the draft with James Higgins and then they have Zegras out on the roster already?
And then sign Shabanov, and then they're in on Bowen Byram discussions.
That's a start, man. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. That's the aggressive shit that I'm talking about. That is how you get people back into the thing. I mean, I got people who don't really watch hockey texting me like, oh, we really get Zegras, man. Oh, I might have to go to a couple games. Like, this is how you get shit going. And like you said with the ticket price, you can't raise ticket prices and not entertain us. You gotta you gotta make it exciting. Like you said, Paterka, we'll see what they do, but there's a lot of fun things that could potentially happen leading up, man. Like we just said, one day into draft week, bro. Not even fucking hours into draft week. It's crazy.
I would love a timeline fitting defenseman, man. I would be over the moon if they got a
Who?
defenseman. That's a great question.
Because it's kind of like a center. No one's really handing away
Yeah, exactly.
a defenseman like that. It's got to be somebody under the same timeline as not timeline, but under the same situation as Zegras. Like has all the skill, maybe just needs to change the scenery. Wasn't really happy where he was, and it all kind of comes back to Byram. I mean, he's another guy. Like he's only 23, 24, I believe, but he has immense skill. Kind of plays freely. Like he needs a little bit more structure in his game. Something that Derek has talked about before. But,
he's not
he's
small either.
Doesn't play small. I mean, he's a skill guy, but he likes playing along the boards. He plays behind the net a ton. I mean, for a defenseman, he's behind the net a lot. But aggression, man. I mean, I feel like that's the word, right? And it's nice to finally see it.
It's nice that they're doing what they said they would do all along. Every step. If you go back to their first Danny Briere's first press conference, Keith Jones's first press conference, they laid out a plan, and so far they've kind of held to their word. I mean, there's a lot left to go, but they mentioned it. Like the first 2 years, it's going to be tough. We're going to be losing. We're going to be selling, and then we're going to accumulate cap space, accumulate assets, and then take steps forward. That they just said that on the radio show a couple of weeks ago, that we finally have some assets. We're going to take some steps forward. It's nice. It's really nice. It's already a lot more fun and entertaining than the last two regimes.
Oh, easily. Yeah, like,
I mean, this is Hextall was Jesus.
Never makes this trade.
No.
Never in a million years. I like our team. I like our guys.
I think we could be competitive this year. Jeez, man.
Aggression, man. I'm so excited. We have it kind of ties into the draft thing. Average Flyers fan, he asked, I believe now you can look to take Martone if he's available over a guy like Higgins or O'Brien. Now this mainly comes down if you think Zegras and Luchenko have a 1-2 C upside. And it kind of ties into what I asked you like 20 minutes ago. And I mean, I'm going to kind of answer it first and then pass it along to you, but I don't think that this should change their thoughts. And to kind of answer your question, I think they were already thinking about Martone. I think you should be thinking about Martone if he's sitting there at 6. The dude should not be sitting there at 6. And he is, despite being a right winger, he is a talent that it'd be really hard to pass up on. So just regardless of Trevor Zegras, regardless of if Higgins is there too, it's not crazy. It's not insane to take Martone. So yeah, I mean, I think they were thinking about it before Zegras, and I think they're thinking about it after. I know you're not so tuned in with the prospects, but
no, I would have thought about it even without the Zegras move.
Yeah, I mean, you should.
A guy like Derek made a great point last episode where he said you can just compensate that with your wingers. You could just have some massive like mutant wingers and then have a short center. And it all could even out to be the same.
Yeah, I mean he's a bigger kid. I think he's 6'3". Doesn't really. I don't think he really plays with that size, and like you would like him to be a little.
He's
bit
also
more
a kid, though.
He is a kid. Yeah,
like, that's
sure.
something.
That's why it's
like,
so hard projecting these kids.
Exactly. That's why, like, sometimes you spend so much time researching these guys, and then NHL ice is just different. NHL game is different. It's a wait and see thing. Yeah, I mean, there's scouts and GMs all over the NHL that are looking for the right answer.
What do you think Danny does after this, bro? Personally, you think it's a defenseman, or do you think it's the goalie? Because I know they're looking hard for it. I mean, we know they're looking hard for it.
I'm going to say I think they go out and get a defenseman. I don't know who, but I just feel like we've heard rumblings of like nothing official. No Elliot Friedman, like, a trade for a defenseman is imminent. But I just see us being linked with multiple names. It just makes me think that something could happen. Something could be on the horizon. And they always talk about the D-corps in interviews and how like, Stanley Cup winners or Stanley Cup contenders always have like some big guys back there. And like we clearly don't have a ton of size defensemen.
We don't even have a guy that we know that could be a 1D on a playoff Stanley Cup contending team. And
Yeah, that's true.
not to say that Drysdale can't turn into that guy. It's not saying that York can take a step. I mean, Sanheim what Sanheim is. Risto is what Risto is. They don't really have a 1D. I mean, Derek would get mad at me. He doesn't really like that term, but you know what I'm trying to say.
He doesn't like the term 1D.
No, because he thinks it's like because he's like thinks they're like a different. I mean, he'll explain it when he gets in here. I'll mention that first to him. But they don't have that guy, so a move in any capacity is obviously like who would go out though? Because you got Zamula, you got Andrea, you got York who still needs a deal. They make a move for a defenseman. Somebody's going the other way.
I have to think it's either Zamula or Andre, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Andrea would have a little bit more value than Zamula.
Yeah,
but I mean, it could be York too.
That kind of makes sense. That would kind of suck for him, huh?
Yeah, it's Zegras and Drysdale.
Yeah, it finally happens. That
wouldn't be fun at all. No,
I think they go out and get a goalie and a defenseman by the end of the summer.
Yeah, me too.
We'll see though.
But I think the wild card thing is they might not be done forward wise. They might go and do a couple of different things there. Who knows? Couple more questions. I think Justin asked a really good one. Would you rather the Flyers A, trade up in the draft, B, trade for another Zegras type player, or C, do nothing?
I mean, in a perfect world, would I love to trade up and get Michael Misa? Absolutely. But what is the cost of that? Yeah, is it even available? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, we've heard the Sharks say that number 2 is available. Number 2, I feel like they say that every fucking.
It's just a field phone calls. Exactly, it's just a field phone calls. It's to make a team maybe overplay their hand and just lay out an offer they can't refuse. But that's you never see it in the NHL. No. I guess we could put it that way. I mean, I guess other sports you see teams and organizations offload a top 3 pick. I can't remember the last time I've seen it in the NHL. Has that happened recently where a team has traded up into the top 3? And I'm not counting. Yeah, exactly. I'm not counting like a 4 and 3 swap or something. I'm counting like an
actual jump.
Yeah, a real movement.
Yeah,
I can't remember it recently.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. You put me on the spot. Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't have any. 6-2? No, I don't think so. I could be completely wrong. No,
that's gonna be tough.
Somebody add us. We're not doing our homework. If we're wrong, let me know on the timeline. But it is tough. I mean, to answer Justin's questions, both. Like I would, if say they love Hagens, right? And Hagens is sitting right in front of us, and they want to lock him in. They're scared Nashville's gonna take him. If they trade up, I could see that happening. A trade to 2, no, but I could see them moving up 1 just to lock in a guy that they really like. But from what I've heard from them, and I don't know if it's smoke screens, but they keep repeating the fact that like they have a lot of guys in the same tier, so they wouldn't really mind just sitting there and having whoever it is fall into their lap, and they'll just take the guy who's highest on their board. I would kill to see that list. I wonder who it is, but
that's certainly the most reasonable course of action. Is just to sit there and wait. I mean, we mentioned before how being in 6 might be a hidden blessing because other teams are going to make some tough decisions, and you're going to be left with a great player. Like it's not like the drop off from 4 to 6 is that insane. You will still leave pick number 6 with a player that your organization is happy with and wanted.
Yeah.
But what I love too in Michael Misa, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Could you imagine?
Tickets immediately.
Could you? I mean, I would paint myself orange and show up to game. Like, I wouldn't miss a fucking home game, dude. Like, could you imagine if they did that? That'd be insane. The whole first round would go though. Like, we'd have 2, but we wouldn't have anything else.
Oh yeah.
But it'd be worth it. Fuck it. Like, that's the kind of shot that I would love for them to fucking take, dude. You love Michael Misa that much, which I mean. something I've mentioned to Derek, and I'll mention when he gets on here. I've heard from I've seen it on Twitter. Multiple different people say it. Like some scouts aren't as in love with Misa as the public is. That's what I've heard. Now, I'm not saying that in every mock that I've seen, it's weird because I hear that and I see that on Twitter and stuff with scouts, and it's like, but I see them too every mock draft. So take that with a grain of salt. But if he's a guy that falls a spot, I feel like you gotta at least call. What do you want? You know what I mean?
That's an interesting conversation. Yeah.
What the fuck do you want? You know what I mean? That's when you get aggressive with 6 picks in the first 2 rounds. You know?
Oh yeah, then it gets seriously interesting.
Big time.
At that point, dude, the possibility of him falling is something I never really considered just because he's 2 on every mock I've ever seen. But if it did happen, I mean, I definitely at least want conversations to be had.
Oh, I'm sure they will. They better.
Yeah.
They absolutely better. Funny question. Not really a question, kind of I guess it is a question. Michkov plus Shabanov fan account. Is this Danny's
already?
Yeah. Is this Danny's alter ego? Daniel closing this deal? If so, how can we tell them apart in the future? I feel like Derek gonna kick out of that question.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Derek later if this kind of puts the closing allegations to bed. The anti-Daniel propaganda. Is it finally time to put it to an end?
We'll see. I'm sure he'll have his jokes here and there, but
for sure.
I actually asked him that question. I was like, "What would it take for you to just stop making the jokes?" And he gave me. I think I screenshotted it. I'd have to go find it.
He gave you the checklist.
He gave me the checklist. It was like Hagen's, and a trade up for somebody, and then an ad like a Zegras. So I mean, they have one of the things checked. They got to do the other 2, and then Daniel's in the clear. I don't think I read this one. Andrew Widemere. Flyers are trading up from 22. Would you rather come away with Martone / Reshny or Hagen / Bear? Does Zegras mitigate the need to go C at 6, or is he a left wing primarily here? It's actually, I'm glad I read this question because Verbeek talked today about the Zegras trade, and he talked about, which is I left it confused, Danny. Let me know if I'm wrong. He was talking about the fact that the move to wing that the Ducks made him do kind of takes away from what he's good at. Like he's good at flying the middle of the ice, creating plays with space, with his feet moving. He's not really a guy who's going to go to a wall and bump a puck or go into the corner and come out with a puck. He's usually a guy who's taking the puck with speed and making guys miss like he does best. And he's like, he'll get a really good chance to go to Philly and play C and do that. It's like, dude, you're the GM of the team, right? You could have just put him back at C. You got a new coach there at Q. You could have just left them there for a year. I mean, he's an RFA. You have control over him.
And it's not like their center core was top 3 in the NHL where there's just not a path for him to get back there.
Yeah, you got Leo, who's definitely your 1C. But, I like Mason McTavish. He's somebody that I threw in the pile the Flyers should maybe try to trade for, but I don't think he's a lock to be a 2C. I think he's a good player. I mean, we'll see how he continues to develop, but you could have just went Carlson, McTavish, and Zegras, or flipped McTavish and Zegras and for another year. But whatever. He's ours now, so thank you, I guess. But I came out of reading about that and listening to him talk, or reading about the quote that he said, and I was like, wait, that doesn't really make any sense, man. You're the GM. You could have just put him back at C.
Imagine Michkov just ripping a puck from somebody and giving it to a flying Zegras. That is cinema.
That's the thought. And here's Derek. He's coming up, but I thought he made a really good talking about how Zegras is really good at picking the puck up in the defensive zone, starting speed down low, picking the puck up and making moves, deking through guys, using space the way he does. And I think it's a perfect pair with Michkov too, because Michkov, I mean, how many times did we see Michkov make an insane bump off the boards, an insane bump play off the boards.
All the dirty work and the setup just for nothing to happen.
No, and we're gonna see a guy take advantage of that with Zegras, so it's extremely exciting.
And then
46 though. He's going back to the 46.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. What do you think about 46?
I mean, it's not the
it's
most
weird number.
It's not the sexiest number in the world, but I will say this: he had his 2 best seasons in 46.
True. That's true. I did think about that. Maybe like from his perspective, just fuck it. It's good mojo. Let's get it back on. Let's get the 46 back on. And we also took his like 2 best numbers, right? I mean, 11 and 9 are not available. He wore 9 with Team USA and 11 just recently with the Ducks. Those both aren't available. 46, definitely not a number I would have picked, but maybe he just feels something about 46 going back to that era.
Hey, get the mojo back, man. Get the rookie year Zegras back in here. We'll see, man. Is that all the questions? I don't think that's all of them. A lot of them were asking about the difference in draft philosophy and if that changes with the add of Zegras, which I don't personally think it does. I don't think it does in their minds either, which is what matters most. Doesn't really matter what the fuck I think. Muck and Puck putting on the foil. With this move, how likely is my dream trade of Prink, York, and a first for Paterka and Byram Sound? I think it's still in play.
Yeah, I don't think it would take something like that out of play.
No, I mean it shouldn't. I mean we all saw Danny today, and I mean like I said earlier in the pod, it gave off the vibe. Derek, are you here?
I am here. What's up?
Do you talk about the Danny thing and how he like low key kind of sounded like he wasn't done?
He sounded like he got his first taste of closing, and it was a first taste. Like he's addicted now. He tasted it once and he can't go back. Never again. We're never going to have
I think Danny had
again.
I think Danny had a question regarding the closing thing, and then we had another question about something serious.
I was going to say, where do we stand on the anti-Daniel propaganda at this point in time? But is this a good step towards putting an end to those jokes, or is it? Does it end it for you? Is it? Go ahead.
Will never end. They will just take on a new form. we will just talk about Danny positively as if he is a closer now, and then if he ever turns on me again, we're gonna crush him. We're gonna hit him. Nobody's ever been hit before.
I do want to hear your thoughts on, because we've gotten a lot of kind of the same questions, and it's the philosophy on the draft and if this should change what they think, and I kind of want to get your take on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the first reflex for people is that this changes whether or not they would want to pursue Higgins or a similar player because they already kind of have that player in Trevor Zegras. I kind of see things a little bit differently. I think they very obviously have an archetype through which they would like all of their centers, at the very minimum, their top 6 centers to play. And if they have the opportunity to pursue somebody of that archetype, then they're going to get it. I think redundancy is the point here. Having these super skilled puck carrying centers who can create transitions basically out of nothing, I think that's very much what they're going for. And my guess is the reason they reached on Luchenko is because, say what you want about the pick and about the player, but he has sort of a more raw, more far off projection to be one of those players. It's not just about the defense, right? It's not just about the forechecking. It's about what he could be as a puck carrier if certain areas of his game took a couple steps. And he does have more potential in that area than, say, a Hellenius, who I like better as a player and still do. But I think it just goes to show that this isn't about oh, we only need one guy to fill this role. This is, we want all of our centers to be able to do this. Now, our 4C is probably going to look a little bit different. The bottom 6 centers is probably going to look a little bit different. But when it comes to the top 6, this is a prerequisite for their centers. And I don't think Trevor Zegras takes them away from drafting James Higgins. I think it confirms they want to.
It definitely shows that they like that archetype, right?
Yeah, exactly. They see a lot of value in these smooth puck carrying centers who can just drive play straight out of their end and into the other guy's end. Maybe not always like McKinnon style, 25 miles an hour freight train down the ice, but they want a guy who can take the puck through the neutral zone and orchestrate everything. And Zegras is a master at that. Even in his down years, I think a lot of the problem when it comes to why wasn't he taking the next step? Why wasn't he a point per game center? Which, frankly, after you put up 2 65-ish point seasons as a 20 and 21-year-old, the next stop is 90-point center. Why didn't he ever get there? I think it's because the Ducks just stopped using him that way. And there's a very good chance that he's going to come here and he is going to be used that way.
The Power Play 1 thoughts, and the Power Play 1, what those units could be, is extremely exciting. And that's another spot, Derek, going off what you just said, that he could immensely, just day one, obviously, help us out there. Danny, what do you think? What would be your unit right now if with the players that we have right now? Like, things could change here to the first game of the season, but right now, who would you have?
Gotta go big 3 of Zegras, Michkov, Drysdale. Those are the 3 I think are certain that I would want. Then the next 2, I guess there's room for debate whether you want Konechny, Forrester. Who would be the net front presence?
I would say between Coots or Forrester.
Forrester, that's kind of a fun one, in my opinion. I would like to try that.
Then
I'm going to go
Zegras taking, Konechny in the bumper. That's probably where because him and Michkov worked really well off. Like, they would switch positions behind the net from the wall. So to continue that and then having Zegras on the other side of the wall would be. I
will say there's not a chance that we have a historically bad power play again, right? I mean, Jesus. Between the new coaches,
I feel like it's fucking
fresh
impossible.
Voices, better personnel, fresh voices behind the bench. I mean, can we get a power play goal this year?
No, I think we'll see it. We'll at least see a competent power play where it looks like they know what they're doing. I hope. I pray, dude.
Well, for both the power play and 5-on-5, what I think Zegras does for Michkov in particular, and this is going to lead to a lot of goals. One thing we didn't get to see a lot of with Michkov this year, now we saw it in flashes to kind of know that it's there, is just how smart he is positioning himself in the offensive zone to get these scoring chances off the pass. Now, we didn't see a lot of that because, well, there was nobody to make the pass. But we know it's there through this was his number one trait as a prospect. Like, number one is just his ability to find the soft ice. And then we saw it enough throughout the year to know it's still here. There's just nobody who could have the puck on their stick and keep the play alive long enough to let Michkov do his thing. And Trevor Zegras, both on the power play and 5-on-5, can absolutely do that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like the ad of Zegras alone for Michkov is bigger than like Zegras in itself. You know what I mean? Like, just putting a guy that can keep up with him, like IQ wise, is gonna catapult not only Michkov but Zegras to, I think, at least 70.
Yeah, like you add Zegras to last year's Michkov. Take development out of it. Just the same guy, but he has Trevor Zegras now. He's running for 40. He is adding at least 10 extra goals.
Yep. I saw somebody say that on X today. Literally, like, we just added like 13, 14 more goals to Michkov's total just by the addition alone. Absolutely. I 100% agree because not a lot of guys can keep up with Michkov in terms of pace and the way he thinks the game. But if there's anybody that I would pick, I mean, obviously there are other guys, but I mean, Zegras is one of them, I should say.
Yeah.
You know,
And
he's one of them.
As far as people who are available, you're right. He is on a really short list.
Because, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that can keep up. I mean, Crosby, obviously. There are a ton of incredible players that can keep up with him. But available guys that can keep up.
Like, it's good that he struggled these last couple of years because that's why he's available.
Well, that's what Danny said. Like, essentially in the press conference, like, he was asked about any injury concerns. He said that was basically all clear. And he was like, yeah, I mean, that's why he was available, right? Like, the last 2 years, the dip that he took, that's why a guy like this with this kind of skill would even be on the trade block in the first place. So, I mean, he acknowledged that, but he thinks he can get back to that level of play that he had those 2 60-point seasons. And I think putting him in a position next to Michkov, I mean, it's a pretty hard environment to fail in.
For real, seriously. I don't know that you could really undersell the upside of this trade because a lot of people, and I mentioned this, a lot of people have wanted to write off Trevor Zegras for dead. And that's not just in any one particular fan base. It's around the league. He annoyed people with how he came into the league, and he got way too much attention too quickly. And so when he didn't immediately live up to all the crazy hype, that left a lot of fans who really wanted Trevor Zegras to be left dead in a professional sense.
Yeah.
Well, it really undersells just how much talent he has. And by the way, just how much he was showing that talent even this year. Like, if you watched the Anaheim Ducks play hockey, generally not a pleasant experience, but if you watched...
Danny did.
Yeah, Danny managed to do it. If you watch just long enough to see Trevor Zegras take a few shifts, whether they resulted in points or not, you saw all the same skilled plays he was making just a couple of years ago. He is the same kid, and frankly, he's probably better. He's just been in a horrific situation, be it the environment, be it the coaching, be it the injury. That was all three of those things hitting him at once.
I didn't watch too many Ducks games, but I did. I mean, Danny would be able to answer better than me, but I did hear that he started to come on towards the end of last season. He started to show the signs of the old Zegras. So that's good to hear. But I wouldn't really be able to talk on Ducks games themselves. But Danny said he did watch. He was hate watching Cutter last year, so he'd be able to answer that question. Danny, do you?
Yeah, he still absolutely showed flashes of skill that everyone knows he has. He just seemed more like miserable in the environment. It wasn't like a complete dip in his play, more as it just looked like everything was kind of overwhelming him, and he needs a change of scenery. And now he has it. He's going to be put in a position to succeed. Him and Michkov are both going to be beneficiaries of each other. And it's the gamble we've said the Flyers needed to take for years now.
Nobody has loved shitting on the whole culture thing more than I have, especially when we take it to obvious extremes, and I will maintain that position. But there is something real to it. And Trevor Zegras is one of those guys where you can just see when the effects of a negative culture, of a poor environment, have just taken their toll on him over a couple of years, and he just kind of snapped. I think he was legitimately beginning to fall out of love with hockey. Zach, our boy in the group chat, Flyers Clips, put it that way, and he's right. I think Anaheim was a bad place for him at that time. And I don't even mean to throw too much shade on like Anaheim as an organization. I just think he was drafted in 2019. He had the success he had when he first came in. And what did Verbeek do? Basically, from the second he got in there, first of all, he's always been skeptical towards Zegras-like players. You can just see it in all of his acquisitions. Yeah. But second of all, he basically entered a second rebuild as soon as Zegras got there. It was like, I'm here. I'm your 60-point center at 20 years old. Let's go win some hockey games. And instead, he was like, actually, nah, brother, we're doing another rebuild. And I think eventually Zegras was like, excuse me? We're doing what?
But I mean, plus he wasn't playing center for a while.
That too. And I don't know where people got the idea that Zegras' game is maximized on the wing. I don't think anybody has had that idea since Zegras was 14 years old. The first person that had that idea since Zegras was 14 years old was Pat Verbeek, and it went horribly. The person you can ask about how it went was Pat Verbeek, who said it went horribly. I don't know why I did such idiocy.
Yeah, that I just got done talking to Danny like 25 minutes ago about how those comments today from him really didn't make any sense. It's like, dude, I mean, props to you for like owning the mistake, I guess. But
it's like that SpongeBob gif, wanted maniac.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you're the GM. Like, you could have just put him back at sea for another year. You have RFA control. You could have just let it ride for another year, see how he did under Q. New coaching. It was kind of like, thanks, but weird comment.
I think it's a mix of he understands that. He is skeptical of Zegras as a player generally. And
I think that's what it comes down to at the bottom line. He just doesn't like the architect.
Yeah,
Straight
exactly.
Up. Doesn't think he could be his 2C, and that's okay. We do.
Yep, exactly. These little bits of disagreements happen in the league all the time. It's probably going to happen again with James Higgins,
who will be a Flyer.
Certainly seems that way. When Elliot Friedman starts talking about who you're going to draft, I tend to listen because he doesn't typically weigh into these things. He weighed in a lot in 2023 where he said Will Smith was going 4 back before that was obvious. And then he weighed in again for the Flyers. I remember exactly what he said. Once upon a time, Friedman describes, it was the Michkov slide will stop at 8. We don't know how far Michkov will slide, but Washington will be his floor, and they will be the guys to end it. That has changed, and I'm quoting with all this. We now believe that the slide will stop with Philly. If they get him, if he gets to them, they will draft Michkov. And it was about a week out before the draft, and he was totally right. And not only was he right about they would do it, he got to them. So when Elliot Friedman starts talking about who you're drafting, I tend to listen because he does not talk about this stuff much. He sticks to guys who are already in the NHL for the most part.
Yeah.
And this year, we had 2 things come out at the same time. Friedman saying Philly's looking at James Higgins. And then the second thing that came out, which is also important, the Bob McKenzie rankings, which are important because they are basically just a poll of a bunch of NHL scouts. So it's hard to go too far off that board because usually that gets picked up by the poll. Well, Higgins was 7 on that board. So this is not a situation where we are praying a kid who is going to go with 3 drops to 6. I think it's more a situation of we can almost say with certainty, it is a virtual guarantee, but not a literal guarantee, that Higgins will not go in the top 4. After that, if Nashville doesn't pick him, we will.
Did you see what Cam Robinson said? Danny, I don't know if you saw it either, but Derek, I know I sent it in the group chat about Frondell.
Yeah.
So no, this is from Cam Robinson. Nothing is guaranteed on draft day, but word is Anton Frondell won't make it past the 3rd pick. If that holds, the top 3 are locked, and Utah gets the chance to shape how the rest of the top 10 unfolds. So if it goes Schaefer, Misa, and then Frondell, that's
gets really
exciting.
Interesting after that. Yeah,
exciting.
Like Derek said, Freeman's word is law. I mean, there's no one else in this hockey space that you can really take at their word and buy into what they're selling more than Elliot Friedman. He's like our Woj.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about how he doesn't really dive into the whole prospect thing unless he has like cement news. Doesn't really speak unless he has cement news, but like you said, the whole prospect universe he doesn't really talk about. So if he's there, if Higgins is there at 6, man, it's there. If Higgins and Martone are there at 6, who do you take?
Well, the Zegras case does make Martone a lot more tempting. What happened with Zegras makes Martone a lot easier to sell. And I still have Martone at 3 on my board. Yeah, I'd probably take Martone.
Yeah, I mean,
you could ask me on a different day, and I might have a different answer. They've always been real close for me.
We talked about it earlier, and I don't really think it changed. I don't really think they're thinking. I don't think Zegras changes their thinking in terms of if Martone is sitting there. I think they would have thought about it before Zegras, and I think they're going to think about it after Zegras. And he's just one of those players where it's hard to know. It's hard to say no to him. I mean, he's a really good player, man.
It was hard not to draft him before, and when you have half an excuse to go ahead and draft him based on the way the positions break out, it's just that much easier. I think that's the only way their board changes is you can't tell me that Martone isn't a little more convincing today than he was yesterday.
I mean, me personally, I didn't give a fuck. Martone is just he's that kind of player for me where the position doesn't really matter.
I don't think they make it there. I kind of feel like Nashville is probably thinking Martone over Higgins.
You think so?
I think so. I think they're probably thinking multiple players over Higgins. If the top 4 breaks out the way the rumors kind of say it will at this point, which is Schaefer, Misa/Frondell, Frondell/Misa, and then Brady Martin. Well, at that
he's
point,
a wild card.
Yeah. Apparently Utah loves him. I have no reason to dispute that. So if that's how the top 4 goes, all of a sudden you're looking at 5 where Higgins, Martone, and Denoyer, all 3 are on the board. I have a feeling that crazy. Nashville takes either Denoyer or Martone, probably Denoyer. Then at that point, we're left with Higgins or Martone. Now, I will say, as much as I personally would probably draft Martone, I think the Flyers will go Higgins, which is not a bad decision at all.
No, I don't think there really is a bad decision there. I don't think they can make I don't think there's a decision that they can make where I'm like, fuck the Flyers, fuck Briere, you can't close. I don't think those jokes
do that for some other reason, but not
probably,
for drafting.
Yeah.
He'll find some way to piss me off.
That's kind of why pick 6 is, like I was saying earlier, is almost a hidden blessing in a way, right? I mean, you let everyone else make a tough decision, and at the end, you're left with whether it's Martone or Higgins. Is anyone upset?
No.
And do you think the organization's upset with how it played out?
No. Absolutely not. I don't know how you could be. I mean, either way, you walk away with a really, really, really good player.
Yeah.
So, I mean, both of those guys that you just mentioned at one point in time were rumored to go number 1. Where people had them there. So,
the absolute worst case scenario here is Jake O'Brien, and that's a pretty good place to be in.
Yeah, I'd be okay with him too. I wouldn't be the only guy that I wouldn't be overly thrilled with is Martin. That's the only guy that I would not be jumping up and down about.
Yeah, I wouldn't
be mad.
I wouldn't be. He's fun. He's a fun player, so you can't be mad. And I do think he is where he is for a reason. It's not that all of the NHL scouts did not look up his 5v5 points per 60 related to the league over the years. It's more so because when you watch him play and you know that he plays a lot of minutes for a team that is not particularly good without him, and how he ended the year, he was the opposite of an Autumn brother. Well, yeah, he's a big riser. He's going to go in the top 10 for sure, probably the top 8. He could more likely than not, he will go in the top 5. It's a little rich for me, but it's not the worst pick in the world.
Yeah, I would say top 5. If I had a gun to my head and had to pick, I probably would say top 5. But speaking of the drafts, before we wrap it up, I do want to say that I think Derek and I, and Danny, you can tag along if you will. If you want. Derek and I are going to come out with a little mock draft a couple days before the draft happens, so maybe Wednesday or Thursday, Derek. But I do want to do a show that's just kind of dedicated talking about prospects. Do our mock draft real quick, and then kind of dive into those picks. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to let it be known that we are looking to do a little bit of a 2025 mock draft, TLY mock draft. So you have that to look forward to, and another show next week. And the next time that we come together for a show, draft will be over, and we will be talking about more moves. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see.
Sounds good. Hopefully,
I don't know if what's going to happen, but hopefully Paterka's here, Derek. You never know, dude.
Come on, Danny. Come on, you got the taste for blood. Give me Paterka.
Yeah, a week from now should be interesting. So I guess that is all for episode 117 of the Liberty O. You can follow us on all socials at the Liberty O, and on Twitter at Suitable Alias, at Chris Stumps, and at TLY Danny.
Go Flyers.